Hello, in this video we're going to look at the options available in the File menu. Let's start by pulling down the File menu. There's a Share button right up on top. We must name the file before we share it, so it's giving us an opportunity to name it. I'm going to close it because the easiest way for me to name something is to click in this box up here. So I'll just call this Sample Spreadsheet. Now, notice there's a rename button. That's just going to bring us back here. So it's really, the best thing to do is just click up there and do the name. Now, when I click share at this point, it'll bring me to a regular share window. And all of my share options, such as in Google Docs, Google Slides, are the same. So we're not going to go through those again. You have the option to get a shareable link here. You can do a simple share with either with view, comment, or edit rights here by putting an email address in, or you can go to advanced, as you know, and you can change the access here, or you can add people individually here, and this is where also you can make settings such as preventing editors from adding new people or disabling the download and print options for viewers. So all things we've done in previous videos. Okay, this allows you to create new documents, not only spreadsheets, but docs, presentations, forms, drawings, etc. This would allow you to open another document, rename we've already taken a look at, make a copy. So if I click that, it's going to give it this default copy of sample spreadsheet. Of course, I don't have to accept that. I can just name it sample spreadsheet 2. And I can browse around and change the location if I want. Right now it's just going into my drive, which is fine. If this document had been shared with other people, clicking this box would then share it with the same people in the same way. I'm not going to do that right now. And you can see that when I do that, it simply opens up a new spreadsheet with a new name. So let me go back to the original. Okay, move to would allow me to change the location. Right now it's in Drive, but if I click this, it'll open Drive, and then I can browse to where I want to put it. Personally, I find it easier just to actually go into Drive and do the moving there. I can also delete it here, move to trash, although from Drive you can also delete it or remove it from there. Now this is an important option, import. So if we have things in Excel or a CSV file or something else, we can bring them right into Sheets. So I'm going to say import, and in this case I will upload. From my desktop you can see this is an Excel file. And when I go to open that, it's going to give me a couple of options. It's going to say, do I want to create a brand new spreadsheet, or do I want to insert a new sheet in this document, which is what I'll do here, or do I want to replace the sheet that I'm currently on? As a matter of fact, maybe I'll do that. I'll take this sheet 1 and I'll replace it with the data that's coming in. After a couple of minutes, you can see the data's in. The name of the sheet remains the same, although as we saw in a prior video, we could rename that if we wanted. So that's importing from Excel. I'm going to go and I'm going to try one more import. And this time I'm going to upload a CSV file. There it is. You'll see that gives me certain options. Do I want to create a new sheet? Do I want to insert a new sheet? Do I want to replace the sheet or the current sheet? Append rows to the current sheet. So let me try that. Now, what is the separator character? Because this is a CSV file, it stands for comma separated values. So it's obviously a comma. I could either have it detect automatically, or I could designate that yes, it is a comma that separates the fields. And then I'll import that. And you can see that it just put it right where my mouse was placed. Actually, my mouse was placed here, so it brought in the headings first, last, and phone, and then it brought in the information. There's a revision history option here, as there is with docs, and this is just showing what state this particular document was in at different times as I was working on it. And I can always restore that history right here, restore this version. So if I do restore this version, you can see that one's just about blank. The nice thing about using the restore version like that is if I go back to revision history, I haven't lost the other information. I've just taken this and I've made a copy of it at a more recent version. So I could go back and say, oh, that was a terrible mistake. I want to take this final version where I'd imported both documents into the one sheet and restore that version. And again, it's not going to it's going to replace the other one, but it's going to be doing it in such a way that we simply create a new copy, and that way we don't lose our history in the process. Okay, there's some simple spreadsheet settings, not too much to worry about. It's basically your locale and your time zone, display language. These things are going to very rarely change. Also, there's some options under calculation. When you're using functions such as now, which gets the current time and date, or today, or random number generators, etc., it wants to know how often to actually run those things. And right now it's on change, so anytime something changes, everything updates. And that can be a pain with rand between or some of the others. So you can change it every minute or every hour as well. This function has to do with circular references. Like, in other words, cell A points at cell B and point B points at cell A. Generally, almost exclusively, this is just a bad idea to begin with, but this is a setting that you could turn on and would allow you to determine how those were resolved. For the most part, they should just be an error, because they, as I said, they really tend not to work. Okay, next function is download as. You can download it as an Excel file, as a PDF, or as a comma-separated value file, or as a tab-separated value. Comma-separated value has become more common. Tab-separated values, they're out there. They were out there for a long period of time. But any of those are probably things that you may use at some point. I find it unlikely you're going to need it as a web page or as an ODS. ODS is an open source file, so if you're not using a commercial product such as Microsoft Office, or if you're not using a product such as even Google Docs, ODS could be a good format, but I find that very few people actually use it in my experience. It's there and it's available. It's not a bad thing. It's just that you might not likely run into the need for it. Okay, the next option is publish to the web. What that's going to do is open up this window where you can choose between printing a particular sheet and the entire document, let's say sheet 1. You can also choose different ways in which to publish this. So be it a web page, comma-separated value, but in this case we want to do it as a web page. There's also an option to go to the get in embed code as opposed to a link. So this would get you a link, and this will get you embed code to put in a web page. Once you click publish and confirm that that's what you want to do, you'll get your results. So this code would be pasted into any web page to embed the document, and this link would be used on a web page for someone to access it. Once you've published, you have the options down here to you have the option down here to change what it is actually that you're publishing, to automatically republish whenever changes are made. So as I'm editing my sheet, when I finish editing my sheet, it's automatically republished and I don't have to do that. So that can be a very useful feature. And also, if I decide that I don't want to actually publish this and make it available on the web, I can just simply click Stop Publishing. Confirm that, and it's like it never happened. Now, in addition to publishing to the web, you can email collaborators. We currently don't have any collaborators, but if I did, it would generate an email right here. Okay, I can email as an attachment. Now note, it brings up a window for you to write your message, so you can put who you're sending it to, subject, your message itself. You can choose to send a copy to yourself. And notice it's going to attach this as either a PDF or an Excel file. A Google Sheet cannot exist outside of the Google environment. So we can't send it somewhere and then upload it into another Google environment. It's not going to work that way. It has to be converted into something else, and this is where you choose what it's going to be converted to. There's some document details, which is very basic information about the file, including location, owner, when it was last modified, and when it was created. And the last thing are print options. Now you can print the current sheet, you can print all the sheets if you have multiples, or you can print a selection. And a selection is where you've just, let me do it for you here. If I only want this content, say A3 to C5 printed, I can then print selection. I have options over on the right. Do I want header rows to repeat if there are multiple pages? That can be very useful. I can print or suppress grid lines. I can include a document title, a sheet name, and page numbers if I want. Now if I choose this layout, it will auto size to fit the width of one sheet. However, if I want a little more control over that, and thus do a little more work, I'm going to have to go actual size and then make sure that it's formatted in such a way that it will print in a useful way. I can set it for portrait view. Sheets like Excel is often printed in a wider landscape view, but you decide that depending on which data you want to print. And then you just click the print button. I'm going to cancel instead. And those are all the options that are available to you through the file menu. Did that not publish? Did that not publish? Really? Fucking really? All that fucking trouble.